Welcome, my favorite people, the rare gems. Once your eyes open, they can never see the world the same again. Have you ever wished you could unsee the truth? To go back to when life felt simpler, when you didn't notice every hidden intention or read too deeply into people's actions? For the Sigma woman, that wish often lingers in silence. Her awareness is both her superpower and her burden. She sees what others miss, senses what others ignore, and feels what most people run from. Her mind works like a quiet observer, constantly reading between the lines of life. She notices the tension behind a smile, the weariness behind ambition, and the loneliness hidden inside laughter. But this gift of perception doesn't come without a cost. The more she understands, the harder it becomes to rest, to trust, or to stay unaware. Awareness expands her strength, but also steals her innocence. While others can live comfortably inside illusions, she lives awake in reality. She cannot pretend not to know, and that knowing changes everything, from how she loves, to how she forgives, to how she chooses peace. Her clarity becomes both armor and weight, protecting her yet isolating her from those who still find safety in denial. This is the silent struggle of the Sigma woman, the ability to see life so clearly that it both empowers and exhausts her. Her awareness makes her powerful beyond measure, but it also makes her carry truths too heavy for most hearts to bear. Number 1. Once a Sigma woman sees the truth, she can't unsee it. It's like a curtain being pulled back on life itself. Her intuition doesn't just whisper, it shows her things with a clarity that leaves no room for pretending. She might wish she could forget what she's realized, but her mind doesn't allow that kind of peace. Once she recognizes a person's real intentions or sees the hidden meaning behind an action, her awareness locks it in. It's not that she wants to overthink, it's that she's incapable of lying to herself once she knows what's real. This can be as simple as noticing that a friend's kindness suddenly feels transactional, or as heavy as realizing a relationship she trusted was built on half-truths. Others might shrug and move on, but a Sigma woman cannot. Her memory and intuition work together like a camera and a mirror. They capture and replay what she saw until she accepts it. It's not obsession. It's clarity doing its work. That's why she often grows distant after a realization. It's not coldness, it's self-preservation. Once she sees behind someone's mask, pretending nothing happened feels like self-betrayal. She'd rather face the discomfort of truth than live comfortably in illusion. This ability makes her emotionally strong, but it also isolates her. Imagine standing in a room full of people wearing masks, while you're the only one who can see their real faces. That's what awareness feels like. She carries truths others would rather ignore, and though it weighs on her, it also shapes her into someone who cannot be manipulated. She doesn't unsee to forget. She sees to understand. Every truth she uncovers becomes a quiet form of armor. Painful or not, she knows that real growth never comes from denial. It comes from facing what others choose to look away from. Number 2. Her peace is often the price she pays for seeing life too clearly. A Sigma woman doesn't just notice what happens, she feels it deeply, reads between the lines, and connects patterns others overlook. Her perception is sharp, almost surgical. It helps her make smart decisions, avoid traps, and understand people far beyond their words. But that same gift that makes her wise also takes something precious from her: her peace. When everyone else moves on easily, she's still processing. She replays conversations, not because she wants to, but because her mind is trained to find meaning in everything. Maybe someone said something offhand that didn't sit right. Others would brush it off, but she can't. Her intuition picks up the shift in tone, the pause before the words, the energy that felt slightly off. By night, those details return, piece by piece, asking to be understood. It's not paranoia, it's awareness. The same awareness that protects her also keeps her awake. She sees too many sides of every situation, too many what-ifs, too many layers of truth. When people say ignorance is bliss, she knows it's true. Not because she envies ignorance, but because she remembers what it felt like before she started seeing everything so clearly. For instance, when a friend betrays her trust, she doesn't just feel hurt. She sees the signs she missed, the moments she dismissed, and the ways she allowed hope to cloud judgment. That reflection brings wisdom, but also restlessness. Her perception gives her control, but peace doesn't live where awareness thrives. It's the quiet tax her mind pays for clarity. She has learned that seeing the truth is powerful, but living with it requires strength. Awareness may keep her safe from lies, but it also keeps her searching for calm in a world that rarely feels still to her mind. Number 3. She carries emotional weight that isn't hers, and most people will never realize it. A Sigma woman doesn't just listen to words, she feels what people mean beneath them. When someone walks into a room heavy with unspoken sadness or frustration, she senses it immediately. It settles into her chest like her own emotion. She may walk out smiling, but she leaves carrying pieces of everyone's storms. Her empathy is powerful, but it comes with a cost. She can't easily turn it off. If a friend confides in her about heartbreak or betrayal, she doesn't just offer comfort. She feels that pain as if it happened to her. When someone hides behind laughter to mask sorrow, she catches it, and it stays with her long after the conversation ends. It's the silent burden of understanding too much. For example, she might sit in a room full of people who seem fine on the surface, yet feel drained by the invisible heaviness in the air. Her sensitivity is both her strength and her struggle. While others can disconnect after an emotional exchange, she's still processing the energy she absorbed. It's not that she wants to fix everyone. She simply feels too much to ignore it. This emotional depth makes her an incredible friend and confidant, but it also makes her tired in ways she can't explain. She often needs solitude, not because she dislikes people, but because her heart needs time to release what isn't hers to carry. She's learning that empathy without boundaries can turn into emotional exhaustion. Understanding people is her gift, but learning when to step back is her healing. Because sometimes the kindest thing she can do for herself is to remember that not every feeling she senses is meant to be held. Some emotions are just meant to be understood and let go. Number 4. She understands patterns of human behavior in a way that almost feels supernatural. A Sigma woman doesn't just hear what people say, she studies how they move, how they react, how their energy shifts when they are uncomfortable or hiding something. To her, every word, gesture, and silence tells a story. Over time, her mind starts to recognize patterns. She notices how certain people repeat the same excuses, how manipulation often begins with charm, and how loyalty can fade quietly before betrayal arrives. It is not that she tries to read people, she simply can't help it. Her mind connects dots others don't even see. She can sense when someone is pulling away, even before they realize it themselves. If a friend suddenly becomes defensive over small things, she sees the deeper insecurity behind it. If someone praises her too often, she notices the intention beneath the compliments. It's like having emotional X-ray vision, but without the luxury of turning it off. This ability keeps her ahead of many painful surprises. She often sees betrayal coming before it strikes. When people reveal their true colors, she is rarely shocked. Still, that doesn't make it any less painful. Knowing something is coming and feeling it when it happens are two very different things. This constant awareness can make life feel predictable, even dull. She can't fully enjoy surprises because her mind is always calculating possibilities. She notices patterns in speech, timing, and behavior that reveal more than people intend to show. But while this gift protects her, it also isolates her. Others see her as guarded or distant, not realizing her distance is built from too many accurate observations. She has learned that wisdom sometimes comes at the price of wonder. Seeing patterns gives her power, but it also reminds her that very few things in human behavior are truly unpredictable. Number 5. Ignorance looks tempting to her, but it is a place she can never return to. A Sigma woman has seen too much, felt too much, and understood life too deeply to unlearn what she knows. She often watches others move through the world so effortlessly, brushing off deceit, ignoring warning signs, and finding peace in half-truths. A part of her envies that kind of simplicity. It must be freeing to live without constantly analyzing every emotion, every motive, every energy in the room. But her mind doesn't know how to rest in that kind of blindness. Once it has been awakened, it stays alert. She can't just pretend not to notice the tension in a conversation, or the way someone's story changes slightly each time they tell it. She sees inconsistencies as clearly as others see colors. When someone's words and actions don't match, it disturbs her peace. While others can look away, she is forced to look closer. It is like being aware of a ticking clock that no one else hears. They go about their day, but she can't stop noticing the sound. That awareness can be exhausting, but it also keeps her grounded in truth. She understands that the world is not as kind, simple, or fair as many wish it to be. That knowledge gives her strength, but it also isolates her from the easy comfort of pretending. Sometimes she wishes she could laugh without reading into it, trust without questioning, or love without analyzing every signal. But ignorance is no longer an option. Once her eyes were opened, they stayed that way. So instead of craving blindness, she learns to find peace within her awareness. She accepts that wisdom and rest rarely live together, and that her mind, though restless, was never made for shallow understanding. Number 6. Truth makes her lonely in ways that are hard to explain. A Sigma woman doesn't chase depth for the sake of it. It's simply how her mind works. Once she begins to understand the truth about people, life, and herself, the world around her starts to feel smaller. The conversations that once entertained her now sound shallow. The jokes that make others laugh feel empty. She can sit in a crowded room and still feel miles away because her thoughts live on a different frequency. It is not that she dislikes people, she just craves honesty, and that's a rare currency. When she asks, "How are you?" she actually means it, but most people answer with a smile that hides exhaustion or pain. She sees it immediately. That awareness makes connecting harder because she no longer plays along with surface interactions. For example, when someone complains about life but refuses to take responsibility, she doesn't join in the pity party. She sees the truth behind the excuses, and that makes her presence uncomfortable for people who prefer illusions. Her silence often speaks louder than their noise, and slowly they drift away. This is why she finds comfort in solitude. Alone, she doesn't have to dilute her thoughts or pretend she doesn't notice what's real. She can think freely, feel deeply, and observe without interruption. It is in that stillness that she finds clarity, even if it comes with loneliness. She has learned that truth filters people. It removes the ones who fear it and leaves her with the few who value it. That's why her circle is small but genuine. The more she understands, the more selective she becomes with her energy. Truth may make her lonely, but it also makes her life pure. She'd rather walk alone in honesty than be surrounded by comforting lies. Number 7. She doesn't just see pain, she feels where it comes from. A Sigma woman doesn't stop at what happened. Her mind digs into why it happened. When someone hurts her, she doesn't just react, she analyzes. She looks past the surface and studies the wound behind the behavior. Maybe that person lashed out because they were scared, insecure, or broken long before she met them. She sees that pain in their eyes, hears it in their silence, and senses it in the way they move. That level of understanding gives her compassion that most people can't reach. But it's also what makes her healing more complicated. Because when you understand why someone did what they did, anger fades faster, but the memory lingers longer. She can forgive almost anyone, but forgetting, that's where it hurts. You can't forget what you've dissected so deeply. For example, when a friend betrays her, she doesn't just label them as fake. She remembers the conversations where that friend's insecurities showed, the moments they compared themselves to others, the small signs of envy that built up over time. She doesn't excuse the betrayal, but she understands it, and that understanding becomes a heavy kind of empathy. It's a gift that makes her emotionally intelligent, but also emotionally tired. While others can move on by blaming, she carries both the wound and the wisdom that came with it. Her heart knows how to see both sides, and that keeps her from becoming bitter, but it also keeps her from fully letting go. She has learned that understanding people deeply doesn't always bring peace. Sometimes it only makes the pain more profound, yet she wouldn't trade it. Because seeing the roots of pain teaches her something most people never learn, that hurt people hurt others, and awareness, no matter how heavy, is what keeps her soul humane. Number 8. She struggles to trust easily, not because she's cold, but because she sees too much. A Sigma woman doesn't just listen to what people say, she feels what they mean. Every word, tone, and glance carries weight with her. Her mind is constantly matching people's energy with their language, searching for consistency. When something feels off, she can't ignore it. That quiet sensitivity keeps her safe, but it also keeps her distant. She has learned that people can say the right things for the wrong reasons. Someone might sound caring, but their energy betrays impatience. Another might offer help, but she senses the hidden agenda behind the gesture. Her intuition catches these little shifts that others overlook, and because of that, trust becomes a rare gift, something no one receives by default. For example, if someone promises loyalty, she doesn't take the words at face value. She watches how they act when it's inconvenient to be loyal. She pays attention to the tone they use when speaking about others, because she knows that's how they'll eventually speak about her. Her mind collects data quietly, piecing together the real story before deciding who deserves entry into her inner circle. This doesn't mean she's bitter. It means she's learned through experience that not everyone who smiles has good intentions. She values authenticity over charm and consistency over empty words. So when she finally does trust someone, it's not casual, it's sacred. Her skepticism isn't a wall, it's protection built from history. Every broken promise, every manipulation, every disappointment has trained her intuition to listen before believing. And while this cautious nature makes her seem guarded, it's the very thing that preserves her peace. She knows trust is beautiful, but only when it's earned, not given blindly. Number 9. She's forced to carry wisdom she never asked for. Most of the lessons that shaped her came wrapped in pain, not comfort. A Sigma woman didn't wake up wise. She was built by experiences that cut deep, by losses that stripped away her illusions, and by betrayals that taught her how to see clearly. Her insight is the result of surviving things that once broke her. She didn't go looking for enlightenment. Life handed it to her through fire. Every scar on her heart carries a story. She remembers what it felt like to trust too soon, to love too deeply, to believe in people who only saw her as an option. Those memories became her teachers. The heartbreaks that once felt unbearable slowly turned into understanding. But that wisdom has a weight. It's not light or graceful. It sits heavy, reminding her of everything she had to outgrow. For example, when she sees someone going through a painful lesson she's already learned, she understands it immediately. She wants to help, but she also knows that wisdom can't be given. It has to be lived through. So she watches quietly, knowing how hard it is to walk through the fire and still come out soft. Her strength is not the kind that shouts. It's the quiet endurance of someone who has faced herself in her darkest moments. Yet even with all that wisdom, she sometimes wishes she could go back to the version of herself who didn't know so much, who could love without caution, trust without analyzing, and dream without fear. But she understands that growth never comes without loss. Every truth she's learned cost her a little bit of innocence, and every scar carries proof that she made it through. The wisdom she carries may ache at times, but it also reminds her that she's stronger than everything that tried to destroy her. Number 10. Awareness becomes both her armor and her prison. It shields her from the chaos of deceit, yet it quietly locks her away from the comfort of connection. A Sigma woman doesn't just know things. She feels them, reads them, senses them before anyone else does. Her awareness gives her clarity, and clarity gives her control. But it also keeps her on constant alert, scanning, decoding, and protecting herself from being blindsided again. She's the kind of woman who can read the room in seconds. One look, one tone, one uneasy silence, and she knows who's real and who's pretending. That ability keeps her safe, but it also makes her walls unshakable. She doesn't open up easily because she's already seen how quickly trust can turn into a weapon. Her awareness becomes a kind of shield, strong, polished, and always up. But that same shield blocks warmth. When someone tries to get close, her mind automatically searches for inconsistencies. She wonders if their affection is genuine, if their intentions are pure, if their words match their energy. And by the time she's done analyzing, the moment of connection is gone. Not because she wants to push people away, but because her instinct to stay safe overpowers her desire to feel close. For example, when someone shows her love, she feels it, but she also studies it. She notices the small changes in tone, the moments of hesitation, the subtle shifts that others might call nothing. Her awareness turns every bond into a quiet test. So she stands strong, powerful, self-reliant, unshakable, but at times painfully alone. Her knowledge keeps her from falling into illusions, but it also keeps her from relaxing into ignorance. She knows too much to trust blindly and feels too deeply to stop caring. Awareness protects her, yes, but it also keeps her from ever truly resting her heart. Number 11. Knowledge ruins illusion, and once a Sigma woman learns how the world truly works, she can never go back to believing in fairy tales. The veil lifts, and suddenly everything that once looked magical now has logic, motives, and hidden layers. She begins to see how people operate beneath their words, how emotions can be manipulated, and how systems are often designed to serve only a few. That realization changes everything. As a child, she might have believed that good people always win, that love conquers all, and that honesty guarantees loyalty. But growing wiser taught her otherwise. She learned that sometimes the kindest people get betrayed, the hardest workers stay unseen, and love alone isn't enough to hold things together. It's not cynicism that grows in her, it's clarity. She stops expecting the world to be fair and starts understanding how it actually functions. For example, when someone tells her they'll never change, she doesn't take that as security. She knows emotions evolve, priorities shift, and people grow apart. When someone preaches loyalty, she watches how they act when no one is watching. That knowledge protects her from disappointment, but it also strips away the comfort of believing in what she once called magic. Still, she doesn't resent this awareness. It gives her a quiet strength. She may not believe in fairy tales anymore, but she believes in reality, flawed, unpredictable, and authentic. She's no longer waiting for perfect endings. She's creating grounded beginnings. Her realism doesn't make her cold, it makes her wise, because she understands that truth, even when it hurts, is far better than a comforting lie. And while illusion fades, clarity stays. It may not always feel beautiful, but it's what gives her power in a world built on appearances. In conclusion, awareness is the price the mind pays for seeing life without filters. So what happens when a woman sees too much, feels too deeply, and understands more than she ever wanted to? For a Sigma woman, awareness is both her gift and her curse. It gives her power, clarity, and strength, but it also strips away the simple joys that come with not knowing. Once she becomes aware of people's motives, of the world's games, of life's harsh truths, she can never go back to that calm ignorance she once envied. She walks through life awake in a world that prefers to sleep. Her insight keeps her from being deceived, but it also keeps her from feeling completely free. Every room she enters, every person she meets, every emotion she senses, she notices what most overlook. That sharp perception becomes both her shield and her solitude. It guards her from pain, but also keeps her distant from peace. Yet despite the loneliness it brings, she wouldn't trade it. Awareness for her isn't a curse to escape, it's a reality to master. It's what allows her to move with quiet confidence and make decisions most people aren't brave enough to make. She understands that clarity may cost her comfort, but it also grants her authenticity. At the end of the day, the Sigma woman doesn't seek to be happy in illusions. She seeks to be real in truth. Her awareness may make life heavier, but it also makes her extraordinary, because while others live on the surface, she lives in the depth where truth, wisdom, and real power exist.